Lies, half-truths, porcupines, fibs, fake news, tall stories, fabrications, big heaps of bull. Hello everyone, welcome to episode 56 of the EMDR Doctor Podcast. I'm delving today into the murky waters of lies. Whatever you call them, they are nasty. In betrayal trauma, lies are front and centre. They are the warp and weft of the relationship, and they feel like shifting sand. What does it feel like to experience being tangled in a web of lies, especially if the spider is the person that you are supposed to be able to trust and rely on more than anyone else in the world? If the liar is your partner, finding out that they've been lying is absolutely devastating. Now, lying is not gendered. Men and women both can lie, but I do work with women almost exclusively nowadays. So my view is definitely through a female-centric lens. And the women that I work with have often experienced really significant betrayal trauma. And they often report things like, my life is suddenly upside down. I can't tell which way's up. Black is white. Everything I trusted is false. Everything I thought was true is wrong. I feel so stupid. I can't believe how gullible I've been. I trusted him. I thought what he had was real. And even I knew that he lied, but I never believed he would lie to me. The pain of being deceived is a particular pain. It's so much hurt. It's mixed with shame, self-blame, so much uncertainty, and this question of how do I recover? How do I explain it to my family and friends? How can I trust again? How can I ever believe that anything he said is true? But interestingly, amongst all the pain, there is a little bit of healing. So there's a sense that at least things make sense now. I understand why I felt so insecure. I understand why I was so uncomfortable in those situations. I understand why my paycheck didn't last until next week. Those things were not my fault. Those fights we had were actually real, even if he pretended they were not real, and I was on the right track all along. So that's the upside, the validation that, yep, I knew something was a bit wrong. I didn't know what it was. Now I know. And one of the big questions that comes up often is, why do they do it? So it's one of those really painful questions that we hash out again and again in the therapy room. Why do people lie? So lies seem to fit into two baskets, pro-social and antisocial. And pro-social lying are the little white lies, the things that we say to make other people feel better. They're lies that we tell. They are lies, but they're essentially, we tell them for the benefit of the other person. And you know, that classic question, does my bum look big in this dress? Often the correct answer will be a little bit of a lie. And it might be something like, no, that dress looks great on you, or I love that dress on you, you look fantastic. That may not be a lie, but there might be a little bit of omission there. So pro-social lies are designed to make someone else feel better, to kind of smooth the way to socially help the other person. You know, probably we all lie in a pro-social way occasionally, trying to avoid hurting somebody else, trying to help them. Some people cannot lie in this way. So, for example, people with autism find it exceedingly difficult to lie, and whilst that is really a superb trait to have, it can sometimes be a bit socially awkward not to have that kind of social lubricant available. You know, do you like the party? Are you having a good time? No, I hate it. I hate the noise. Might be the truth, but it also might be hard for the person hosting the party to hear that their effort has not resulted in somebody enjoying themselves. Antisocial lies, however, are the opposite of that. They are designed to help the liar. They're designed to give some advantage, like maybe a better price for a car or selling a house with rising damp or something else wrong with it. So these are examples of lying for financial gain. Avoiding detection is another huge one. Doing something wrong and covering up for it, like gambling and lying about where the money went. Maybe having an affair and lying about where you were last night. Drunk driving and having an accident and blaming someone else for damaging the car. Lying about not having a wife and then lying to the wife about why you were home late. Lying about who did all the brilliant work on that report. All of these lies are to help the liar. They avoid consequences, they get financial gain, they elevate the liar's reputation, they are self-interested lies. They're designed to gain something for the liar. So they are antisocial lies. And just like how some people cannot lie, for some people they are unable to tell the truth. We might talk about psychopaths and narcissists in this group, and they may be very practiced liars. They may lie all the time. Practice makes perfect. They lie easily. They lie often. They lie without remorse, and they can be really pretty difficult to detect. But the everyday garden variety antisocial liar will just lie for their own benefit sometimes, when it counts, when they perceive that there'll be negative consequences for telling the truth about their actions. And most liars will incorporate a little bit of truth in their lies, as it makes them more believable and easier to defend. And half-truths can be really difficult to tease out, and it can be really so confusing to the person who's being lied to separate the truth from the lies. If someone is lying frequently, I am always really curious about what the big lie is. It may be quite separate to the little lies. What is the big withholding, the big omission? What is the source of the lies? If we dig deeper, we may well find a reason. A big, old, ugly and painful reason. There may be some big, awful truths in that person's childhood that are too painful to admit even to themselves. And this creates layers of lies, webs of lies, to avoid addressing the horror of the past. Sometimes children learn to lie by being punished for telling the truth. And this can be really painful to work through in later life, with a sense of injustice, firstly for being misunderstood and then punished to start with, and then for feeling that they were made to be dishonest, that they were forced to lie, to in effect betray themselves so as to please their parents by lying. And it can be really, really painful to unpack that. And another set of lies can be really very difficult to come to terms with. So I'd like you to imagine this scenario. A little child discloses to their parents sexual abuse by a neighbour. Let's say the father of their best friend from next door. They tell their mum about it, which is the right thing to do. Mum goes to the police, which is the right thing to do. The police arrest the man, he goes to jail, and all of that is really good and right. This protects the child from further harm. But what if their little buddy next door is then really upset and scared and fearful and ashamed, and their dad is no longer in the family. Their dad's in jail and they don't know what to do with that information. And so they go to their friend, the child who's made the disclosure and been the victim of that sexual abuse. They go to their friend and they say, "I hate you, my dad's in jail and it's all your fault." But what does that do to that little child who experienced the sexual abuse and then reported? There is so much loss and guilt for hurting their friend if the abuse then happens to happen again with another adult in a different scenario. Is that child likely to report it again? And this could lead to lies of a different sort, lies that protect others in the most awful way at a huge cost. The idea of telling the truth and then protecting oneself, but being perceived as the bad person, that is so difficult and maybe impossible to put oneself through again. And I guess ultimately, this kind of lie sits, well, really tricky to tease out where this kind of lie sits. Is it an antisocial lie? Because it's designed to protect the child's friendships or reputation, or protect the child from unwanted consequences of being accused of ruining their friend's life or ruining somebody's life. But the cost to the child is so big. So it could be called a pro-social lie, as it protects the social fabric in that it protects the needs of the other. There's no easy classification for this kind of distressing scenario. It is no one's fault. But it's a scenario that leads to more hurt and more abuse and less disclosure and more pain for that child. And what about kids in the opposite situation? They want to report abuse, but they might be testing the waters. Maybe they don't have an adult that they really trust. So they're trying to figure out, who can I trust? Who do I take this information to? They may tell a teacher that something that has happened that hasn't. They may tell a small lie about something that didn't happen in order to figure out how that teacher is going to respond to them. They lie to try things out to see what would happen if they did disclose what's actually going on. It's a social experiment. This lie does not fit into the pro or antisocial categories. It is a bid for help, but ultimately really harmful to that kid who did tell the lie, and harmful to the person that they told the lie about. And if the child is caught out in that lie and punished for lying, the chances of them actually disclosing and telling the truth, you could imagine, would be very slim. They will likely carry that burden of that situation for many years, unable to tell the truth because they have no one that they can trust with the truth, and they're therefore unable to protect themselves. So the consequences of lying can be pretty dire, as can the consequences of not telling the truth, which is lying by omission, by withholding, maybe for pro-social reasons. And what are the consequences of lying and getting away with it? Bad. Apparently, the literature says that people who lie, even if they are successful with their lies, they have lower self-esteem, they have a lower mood with less happiness, less fulfillment than those who don't lie. Lies always come with a price, regardless of whether the lies are pro-social or anti-social lies. So there is some truth to that old adage, the truth will set you free. It may be more painful in the short term with some consequences, but generally speaking, the literature does suggest that you will feel more happiness and greater self-esteem. Now, one question that I often do get asked is, how do you tell if a person is lying? And oh goodness, this is such a good question. There are some classic techniques that experts in body language will tell you, but if a person is very practiced in lying, you won't have much of a chance unless you actually fact check or catch them out with evidence. Some of the body language that hints that a person is lying include things like covering their mouth when they're saying the lie, being like, politicians sometimes will cover their mouth when they're telling maybe some porcupines, being too emphatic with the lies, giving a lot of unnecessary information with the lie, really embellishing it, avoiding the question with distraction techniques, maybe an irregularity with eye contact, either avoiding eye contact, looking to the side, not holding your eye contact, or maybe the opposite, holding the eye contact too long or with that hard gaze, pinning the other person with their gaze. Or maybe acting overly casual with the response, mumbling or half answering or changing the topic. So these are some things to look out for. Of course, they are not a guarantee that sentence or that statement is a lie, but they might be just little handy hints to look out for. And a lot of the time, if you know someone really well, you just have a sense, you know that they're lying and you can't put your finger on why, but it just doesn't feel right. There's just a sense of intuition or, just that spidey sense. What's going on there? That doesn't feel right. So if you have been lied to or deceived or misled within a relationship, it is possible to repair. There is big work to be done. EMDR can help with this, obviously. Betrayal trauma is very painful and can really shake your sense of stability in the world, not only as an individual but as a couple. And trust is earned, not given. And this earning back that trust can take a long time and be hard work. It is possible, not always. Every individual will respond differently, and I would certainly say that you cannot make someone change. They have to want to change. So if you are on the receiving end of the lies, be sure to find this out. Do they want to change? Maybe find it out by their actions, not their words. Are they committed to the relationship? Are they committed to you? Or are they committed to their own benefit? Sometimes things do need to hit rock bottom before they bounce back, but sometimes there is no bounce. There is just a slow, step-by-step rebuilding of a little bit of stability and finding the truth in your own capability, relying on yourself, learning to build trust in yourself again, because that is one of the things that is destroyed with lies within that betrayal trauma. So if you need help with this, please do reach out to your local EMDR therapist, or if you are in Australia, feel free to contact me. Next year, I am holding my first online group EMDR course in February. If you go to my website, emdrdoctor.com.au, and look at the Heal Your Past page, you will find all the details of my upcoming courses. If you have worked with me before and you have some more work to do, you may like to look at my membership, which is a monthly opportunity to do EMDR with me. So have a look at the membership page on emdrdoctor.com.au. All right, I hope this has been helpful. I will talk to you again next week. In the meantime, take good care. Bye for now.